Good morning. Oh, he is the center of it all. There's a Daniel Amos song that says, he is our central theme. I love that. He's the central theme of all of creation. It's what it's all about. I know that I'm in the vast minority in this body of believers when it comes to sporting events. Most of you are not sports fans, and I know that, and I appreciate that, but you can still understand an analogy. I am a sports fan, so I use them because that's how my mind works. Last night, I was watching a hockey game, and I'm probably the only one here who does hockey, but I think you can get this. The game was in Vancouver, which is just north of Seattle. For those who don't know, it's on the West Coast, so the game didn't even start till like 9:30. And so it was close to midnight before, it may have been after midnight. No, it was close to midnight when the game was over. That doesn't really matter. But Vancouver Canucks are at least twice as good as the Columbus Blue Jackets. Everybody knows it, except, I guess, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And this game was not supposed to be much of a game, but still thousands upon thousands of Vancouver Canuck fans paid not small money to go sit around an ice rink and watch them play. And at the end of the first period, there's 3 periods in hockey, each one of them 20 minutes. And at the end of the first 20 minutes, the score was Blue Jackets 4, the Canucks 1. And in hockey, that's huge. It's usually even lower scoring than baseball. 4-1 is even a bigger deficit than it being 28-7 at the end of the first quarter of a football game. It was just huge deficit. It didn't make any sense. People were mad. The fans were upset. Quite a few of them got up and left. They left the arena. They had paid a lot of money and they didn't want to see that. I was a little disgusted with the way they were playing myself, to be honest, but I left it on. And at the end of the second period, it was 4-2. And at the end of the third period, it was 4-4. And overtime. And at the end of overtime, which is sudden death, so it was just as soon as somebody scored, it was the Canucks 5, the Blue Jackets 4, and the fans that stuck it out went nuts. It was wild. I mean, even the players looked surprised that they had won a game that they should have won easily. They should have done it better. They should have played better. It shouldn't have looked like that. Now, why did I bring that up? Because it made me think of Psalm 73. Psalm 73 is probably my favorite psalm that David did not write. This is a psalm of Asaph. And he feels a lot like I have sometimes, and probably you have. The first 12 verses are all about how easy and good life is for those who don't walk with God. All the blessings they seem to get. And he finishes that up. Behold, these are the wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. And then he goes to his conclusion, which is not right, but I'm sure is natural in some sense, and we have probably all done it. I know I have. If you're honest, have you? All in vain. I have kept my heart clean and washed my hands in innocent. It's been absolutely empty, valueless, and pointless that I have done it right. There's no benefit to walking with God because, in the next 2 verses, He talks about, I was messed up. I've been stricken and rebuked. I've gone through all this suffering every morning. He doesn't even just say every day. Every morning I wake up to trouble. Then, though, it begins to change. He learned some things from David. But when I thought how to understand this, how does this make sense? It seemed to me a wearisome task. It just wore me out trying to figure it out. Why the wicked prosper and I'm doing it right and getting beat all to pieces. Verse 17, until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. I couldn't figure it out. I was discouraged. I had given up. I didn't even see the point of walking with God anymore until I went into the sanctuary of God and I saw what the end looks like. And then he talks about the inevitable destruction that is coming when the patience of God is done and he rouses himself and comes in judgment. How they're going to be utterly destroyed because they didn't have faith in him, because they weren't loyal to him, because they didn't surrender and submit to him. And he says in verse 22, I was brutish and ignorant. I was like a beast before you. And back up just a little bit. In verse 21, he said, when my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in heart. When I was bitter and frustrated and resentful about what had happened in my life, I was ignorant and lacked insight and was as senseless as an animal before God. It just didn't make sense. And then here's one of my favorite passages that wasn't written by David in the book of Psalms. Nevertheless, despite all that, despite that I got bitter, despite that I acted like I didn't have any sense, despite I didn't understand what was going on, I am continually with you. I like that. We think about God always being with us, but we're always with him. I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. Now that's the hand you're supposed to be fighting with. But he can't fight anymore. He's given up the fight. Now he's just holding Daddy's hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Sometimes our life looks like the end of the first period of that game. It's 4-1 and we don't have a chance. We should have done better, probably could have done better, but we didn't. We want to leave our own lives and just walk away from this mess. Oh, I don't want to fight this fight, much less watch it. Maybe your fans have walked away. We don't have to do what they did. We don't have to gut up and play real hard and do better. Because if we try it that way, there is no overtime and we're not going to come out on top. But he is our strength. He is our portion. He is our victory. He is the one. The battle belongs to the Lord. You don't have to fight it. Your fighting hand is supposed to be in the hand of the Father. The Father who loves you so much that he sent his only unique begotten Son God wrapped in flesh. Came in off the bench, so to speak, and he went to the cross and scored all that needed to be scored because he was perfectly righteous. And he gave that victory to us. And he took our defeat. The victory we should have won and never did and never could and never will, he could, he did, and then he gave it away. He traded the prize to us in exchange for our punishment, our pain, our suffering, all those things that make us want to give up and go, I don't see the point in walking with God. God took it all. The point with walking with God is about the victory that comes. It's about relationship with Him. It's about a God who loves you enough to die for you. But He's God, so the grave couldn't hold Him. Death didn't defeat Him, and He rose, and He makes us rise with Him, so that no matter how bleak and dark it looks, no matter if the enemy and the world are crushing you and your own failures and mistakes and bitterness and resentment in your heart have gotten in the way and you are in defeat, even if that lasts for years, it's not the end. He is already won. Don't leave before it's over. Don't stop. Keep going forward. Don't give up, because He's already won. He won on that cross. The proof of it was in the empty tomb. And if you will draw near, it'll start making more sense. You'll get a glimpse of eternity that'll make you okay, even when the world isn't. Because when we go into the sanctuary of God, when we go into His presence, then we have discernment. Then we can understand. Then we can see this is not all there is. There is something more to life than the material, physical realm. There is something happening in the spiritual realm, and that victory is done, and that is our eternal hope because of Jesus, the love of the Father and the power of the Spirit within us because of what happened on that cross.